Jazz Sinclair time. It's Jazz Sinclair time. It's Jesse Jasmine time. It's Jazz Sinclair time. Da 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 dee dee da 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 dee dee.
Am I on? Is this thing on?
Da da dee dee dee. Da 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 dum da dum. Da 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 dee dee dee.
Jazz Sinclair's in the chat.
Jazz Sinclair, is this thing on?
Uh-oh. Ole! Ole!
It's Jazz Sinclair time. It's Jazz Sinclair time. It's Jesse Jasmine time. It's Jazz Sinclair time. La da 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 la da 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 la da 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 la da 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 da.
Is this on? Is this on? Are we on? Are we on? I don't know. Am I here? Are we on? This way. You should be dancing, yeah. You should be dancing, yeah.
Am I on? Jazz? Jazz.
So Jazz came back for a nanosecond. Welcome back, Jazz. Sorta. Jazz.
Is this thing on? Is this thing working?
Jazz was talking about vampires. He was talking. I don't know how you said it with a straight face.
I just wanted to say, hey Jazz, your mother.
It's Jazz Sinclair time. It's Jazz Sinclair time.
It's getting cold, and it's getting cold. Listen, guys, I'm here to tell you what I think. All right? This is going to be kind of a very quick run over of why would they lie. The big question that's flying around is why would they lie? Why would they lie? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Why would they lie? Why would they lie? Now, the term flat earth simply to me means non-spinning ball. All right? I'm going to start with the very basics and tell you exactly what happened to me. Okay? My train of thought. And we're going to do this in such a simple way. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the earth is flat. I don't know. I don't know if the earth is flat. I don't know if the earth is round. I don't know. Much like, well, let me get to this first. We're going to do if this, then that. Okay? Like we do with everything else. Consider it just a simple exercise. Now, when I first heard this ridiculous, stupid, admittedly backwards idea that the earth is flat. The earth is flat? What are you, what are you, a moron? This is what I thought. This is what I thought. Well, it didn't start that way with me. It actually started, I was listening to Crow 777, Crow Triple Horn, talking in his lunar wave, and, you know, I saw what he was talking about. There was a definite thing that came across, and I said, okay, well, that's odd. You know, so what? It's odd. Whoop-de-doo, so it's a little strange. So I watched his videos, his many thousands of hours. Okay, I didn't watch thousands of hours, I admit. I watched videos that planted a seed of doubt in my mind as to whether or not the moon was behaving properly. It was that simple. I mean, nothing, I didn't think, oh my God, the earth's flat. No, nothing like that. What occurred to me was, something's wrong with the moon. Something's going on with the moon. That's what got me started. And of course, in the sidebar over here, you know, on YouTube, you get all these suggestions pop up. You know, they think you'd like to watch this, they think you'd like to watch that. Well, at this point, I didn't have a channel, I didn't have an account, I didn't have any of that. I was just watching videos, right? So, and I always clear my cache when I'm done browsing, so you know, random stuff would pop up. So I guess somehow related to that was the term flat earth. This is in June of 2015. April, May 2015. Okay. So I glanced over and I said, well, I got a minute to kill. This ought to be a riot. So I clicked on it. It was Mark Sargent Flat Earth Clues. And I watched it and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. You know, flight paths, whatever. So anyway, one thing led to another and I began to watch all these videos. And back then, there were not all that many. I watched Eric Dubé's 200 Proofs We Don't Live on a Spinning Ball. I listened to his interview on the Higher Side Chats. And I got myself involved in looking at other things, you know, looking at proofs, and I, of course, started watching some of Jaron's videos. And something inside me said, they're making an interesting point here. Something is being made here. I can't quite grasp it. I don't quite know what it is. But something doesn't make sense here. The idea that water finds its own level always really nailed me. Then I watched a couple of videos by a channel called My Perspective, pointing out the very obvious direction of the sun rays, and I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute now. Wait. What exactly is going on here? Okay, now, I'm not going to take you down the whole garden path, but if you join me for a lovely cigarette, I smoke. Shoot me, alright? Miss me. And I know I'm going to get all these trolls who are going to show up and go, oh, you're a retard. No, I'm not. No, I'm actually not a retard, okay? Yes, I graduated high school. Oh my God, I graduated college. Jesus Christ, I had a fabulous education and a massive ton of life experience. Oh yeah. No, I'm not a retard. And yes, I understand science. It's interesting because I personally am a space cadet, always was. First generation Star Trek watcher, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I know everything. I know, I was fully aware when I was watching Star Wars, the very first movie, Star Wars, that they messed up when they said parsec was a measure of speed. I knew it was a distance. That's how I was raised on science fiction, all of it. I know everything about science fiction. I knew more about science fiction than the people who were trying to tell me I was crazy. And still to this day, I do not know the Earth is flat. But let me tell you what happened to me. What I realized was, when it dawned on me that there may not be a curve here. Something about where I live is not the way that it has been presented to me. When I hit that conclusion, then I had no choice but to say to myself, what if NASA, if it is true that there is no curve, if it is true that outer space is not what we've been told, that I am not where I was told, that means that NASA and the whole moon landing and the whole thing is a lie. What? No. And that had me hooked for the longest time about no way. No way. And then I began to watch, of course, the ISS footage and the what is to me now obvious CGI ridiculousness that you don't see at first because you're not looking. But once you see it, you can never unsee how artificial it is. So then that leads to that. If they're lying about, if they actually do know, then NASA has to be lying. And if NASA is lying, wait a minute, NASA can't be lying because the Russians would have called us on the lie. They wouldn't go along, would they? No. The Russians in the United States would never. Listen, the whole Cold War thing, there's no way that could have been. They're not sitting back behind the scenes holding hands and putting out artificial, are they? No. See, and it goes down from there. And you go, well, China, what about them? Well, see, what I didn't realize was that while all this was going on in my mind, 50, 60 years ago, what year is this? 2016, 70 years ago, they signed an agreement, 60 years ago, to, excuse me, to specifically keep everyone and everything out of Antarctica. So they were allies in a treaty during the time that they were at war, the Cold War. I found that interesting, and I began to look into the Antarctic Treaty. And I realized that if they're doing business together down there in some way, then they are partners in some way. So if this, then that. If we're not living on a spinning ball, then NASA is lying. That must be. Does that mean the employees are lying? No, it doesn't. It means the ones at the top, no. Okay, I can accept that. Can I accept that the United States and Russia and China and other spacefaring nations, the European Space Agency, are holding hands and lying to us as one? No, but then I had to. I had to look at it and realize, wait a minute, just a minute now. Here's the way I came to it. Here's the way I began to look at it. If they are all holding hands and they are all lying, then I had to force myself to look, what have they told me the truth about? And then I really had to go deep. Because I looked at Sandy Hook, I looked at the Boston bombings, I looked at 9/11, of course, we all looked at 9/11. Nobody believes the official story. If you do, okay, fine, I mean, you might. But then you have to go back and believe everything. Excuse me. You have to believe everything. You have to believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone when he killed Kennedy, because that's what they said. You have to believe everything they said. And if you don't, then how can you let them lie about one and not the other? Then you have to look at the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which began the Vietnam War, and they came out and said we made it up. Then you have to ask yourself, well, wait a minute, did Roosevelt know that they were going to bomb Pearl Harbor? No, he would. No, they wouldn't have been in on it. No. Did the Japanese? Wait a minute now. Then you have to go back and look at everything and go, oh my God, if this, then that. If this, then that. And you reach a very disturbing conclusion. The one I reached was that what we're dealing with here is not the shape of the earth. What we're dealing with is that if somebody did know the truth, at that point they knew, let's say 100 years ago they found out that the earth was in fact a plane, a flat plane, and not a spinning ball. I take issue at that point, because it is when they know and make the decision to lie. That's what I have a problem with. Not are they lying. Why would they lie? I have a problem with the simple fact that if they are lying, that if they know the truth, then they made a conscious decision to lie. They decided they had two choices: tell the truth or lie. They chose to lie. Or not. It depends what you believe. Now, if you believe that they are not lying, then please go away, because you cannot look any further. What I'm trying to say is this: we find ourselves in a position now, those of us who have come to the understanding that we do not live where we thought we lived. And that's a whole different category. But what we're discovering is that, holy shit, he's Jack the Ripper, and he's about to marry your mother, and your mother's not going to listen. And that's what we're facing. There's a known serial killer with a bad rep, a long history of murder and bloodshed in his wake, and he's about to marry your little sister, and you're trying to tell her, and she's not listening, and she's defending him at every turn. it's not a question of why would they lie. It's a question of if they could lie and they chose to lie, would they? Then you go into the whys and wherefores. It doesn't matter. I have come to the conclusion for myself that they've been lying. When it started, I don't know. Who started it? I don't know. Who's going along with it? I don't know. Who's involved? I don't know. Is the place I live as described to me throughout my life? No, it is not. And it is at that point that you understand, well, if I don't live on a planet, and that thing up there is not a star, the sun is not a nuclear furnace, it's not a star, the moon is not a rocky object that we can go land on, there is no 93 million mile away sun, those are just lights in the sky that pass over as one canvas every night, and they've never changed. If that is the case, where are we? We don't live on a planet, we live on a flat plane, and what is going on? What exactly really is going on? Where are we? That is where we are now. And it's not so much why would they lie, it's how did they get away with it for so long? How did they keep us in the dark? And it still blows my mind, guys. It still blows my mind. But for those of you who are honestly searching, not you fuckers out there who are just going to sit here and call me a retard. I don't care. I'll just ban your ass up at the end of it. I really don't care. But for the rest of you, for you honest people out there, take a look at some of this information. Not the debunking shit. I'm not interested in someone who's going to defend OJ. I'm interested in the facts. Did OJ do this stuff? And don't give me if the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit. That's just a tagline. Did he really? Would you be comfortable with him marrying your mother? If OJ Simpson decided he wanted to marry your mother, and your mother was going to go ahead with the plans, and you couldn't talk her out of it, how would you feel? That's kind of how we feel. That's all. There really is no why would they lie. The question really is, for me at this point, I broke with the system when I discovered that the system knew the answer and made a decision to lie. They decided to lie. They had two choices, truth or lie. They went lie. I can't believe them anymore. It's that simple. I want to talk about rain, and I'm going to do that in just a minute. I'll be right back.